Dear students, good morning. This is your economic online class. We are discussing the sixth chapter, banking. In the last video, we have discussed about the Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India, ICICI Bank, IDBI Bank, and state level institutions and central level institutions. Today in this video, we have to discuss about the rest of the concept, SIDCO, which is Small Industrial Development Corporation, and monetary policy and objectives of monetary policy, right? SIDCO provide financial assistance to industrial concern by way of loan guarantees and underwriting of or direct subscriptions to shares and debentures. In addition to these, they undertake various promotional activities such as conducting techno-economic surveys, project identification, preparation of feasibility studies, and selection and training of entrepreneurs. They also promote joint sector projects in association with the private promoter in such type of projects. So what are the help they can do for their shareholders and subscribers? They are doing, okay, the way of providing loans and giving guarantees and underwritings and promotional activities, various promotional activities like that, conducting techno-economic surveys, okay, technical economic surveys and project identification and preparation of feasibility studies for what? To selection and training of entrepreneurs. So enhancing them in the investment. So these are the works, the activities made by the SIDCO. Okay, they also promote joint sector projects in association with the private promoters in such type of projects. Whatever project made by the investor, the preparation of the entrepreneur, encouraging by them, and their project enhancing by them with association of private promoters. Okay, SIDCO take 26%, private co-promoter take us 25% of the equity. So SIDCO 26% they giving assistance and private co-promoters take 25%. So equally they have to providing their shares, and the rest is the offered to the investing public. So investing public means the public, common peoples. SIDCO undertaking the development of industrial areas by providing all infrastructural facilities and initiation of new growth centers, so that they enhancing the entrepreneur, giving techno-economic systems and project identification, preparation of feasibility and studies about the feasibility and helping their project to promote. So advising the promoters, private promoters, guiding them and providing all infrastructural facilities and initiation of the new growth centers. So whatever the new centers, asking permission to them, they advising them and giving and accelerating them. They also administer various state government incentive schemes, so that the SIDCO administer various state government incentives. Incentive means enhancing them and encouraging them. So encouraging schemes, who the entrepreneurs are encouraging by the SIDCO through the schemes provided by the SIDCOs. So SIDCOs get refinance facilities from IDBI. Okay, they also borrow through bonds and accept deposit like IDBI and ICICI. So they also accepting deposits and borrow bonds and bills, checks like that. So these are the functions of SIDCOs. Okay, let us discuss about the monetary policy. The monetary policy is very important in this lesson. See here, the monetary policy is the macroeconomic policy being laid down by the central bank towards the management of money supply and interest rate. So that the macroeconomic policy being laid by the central bank towards the management of money supply and interest in the society, in the country. Okay, interest rate, whatever interest rate, money supply moving on in the society, they and all concerned and governed by the central government or central bank. Okay, it is the demand side economic policy used by the government of a country to provide or achieve macroeconomic objectives. What are the objectives? Macroeconomic objectives are like inflation, consumption, growth and liquidity, national income, these are all, etc. These are all set to as macroeconomic objectives. The monetary policy gained its significance after the World War II. So that after the World War II only, the monetary policy got that much of important. Thanks to the initiation made by the Milton Friedman. Okay, this is one mark. Milton Friedman, who is associated with the doctrine of monetarism and who received Nobel Prize in 1976. Who got Nobel Prize? Milton Friedman. Okay, this can be asked in your 1 mark. He boldly announced in his book Monetary History of the United States 1867 to 1960. What happened during the period? He wrote in his book Monetary History of the United States that the Great Depression of 1930s was largely the outcome of the bungling monetary policies of the Federal Reserve System. So in 1930s, what happened? The Great Depression happened. So about the Great Depression, he wrote in his book. So the monetary policy very, very important on those time. Monetary policy and its expansionary versus contractionary. What are the expansion and contraction? Let me go through the concept. Expansionary policy is cheap money policy when a monetary authority uses its tools to stimulate the economy. Okay, when the expansion made by the central bank means during that period, any emergency period, they can introduce the cheap money policy. Okay, so when a monetary authority, who are authority here? The central bank. Central bank is the monetary authority. Say they uses its tool. So what is its tool? Cheap money policy as a tool to expanding their monetary policy. For what? To stimulate the economy. An expansionary policy maintain short-term interest rate at a lower than the usual rate or increase the total supply of money in the economy more rapidly than usual. So that the main aim of the expansionary is traditionally used to try to combat unemployment by lowering interest rate in the hope that less expensive credit will entice businesses into expanding. So the less credit goes to entrepreneurs and encouraging them and expanding their loans, and they want to reduce the unemployment problem. If they are giving the loan and increasing the rate of interest, reducing the rate of interest and giving loans abundantly to the investor means, then only they can decreasing the unemployment problem. That's why they expanding their monetary policy. So this increases aggregate demand. These steps will result in increases aggregate demand. Aggregate demand means the overall demand for all goods and services in an economy, which boosts the short-term growth as measured by gross domestic product, which is the GDP growth. So automatically the GDP growth will be increased. So that they increasing the loans, okay, increasing the loans and the policy, cheap money policy provided by the monetary authority, then expanding their cheap money. Through the cheap money, they reducing the interest rate, then the entrepreneur encouraging by them. This result to increasing the aggregate demand The increased aggregate demand gives boost the short-term growth, which is measured by the GDP. Okay, we can measure the short-term growth through the GDP growth. And simultaneously the contractionary means decreasing. What they can decrease? The monetary authority can decrease through the dear money policy. If the rate of interest decreased by the cheap money policy, then automatically aggregate demand will increase, isn't it? We seen in the expansionary monetary policy, which is the opposite direction. The contractionary is opposite direction. If it is increasing means immediately they want to cut off everything. So through the monetary policy they can make dear money policy. Okay, the monetary authority making dear money policy which maintains short term interest rate higher than usual, which slows the rate of growth in the money supply or even shrinks it. If anything shrinking there, they immediately cut it. Okay, through the dear money policy they maintaining the short term interest rate higher, which is increasing. The short term interest rate will be increasing than the usual rate, so that this slows the short term economic growth and lessen inflation. Okay, so contractionary monetary policy can lead to increase unemployment and depressed borrowing and spending by consumers and businesses, which can eventually result in an economic recession if implemented too vigorously. If it is decreasing and interrupting anything means what will be there? Unemployment problem will be there. So unemployment problem will be increased and depression will be there in the trade cycle. We know that the trade cycle, no? So in the trade cycle what will be there? The recession period will be implemented. So how can it be implemented? Vigorously it can implemented. So this is the monetary policy between expansionary and contractionary. Understood? Then we have to see the two phases of monetary policy. What are the two phases? One is inflation, another one is recession. In inflation, borrowing is easy. During the inflation time, borrowing is easy. Consumers buy more, businesses expand, more people are employed, people spend more. Okay, this is the situation or status of inflation. So during this inflation time, the monetary authority making cheap money policy. Okay, with the cheap money policy the borrowing are easy, consumers can buy more, business expansion will be there, more people are employed, employment opportunities will create, so people spend more. So this is the status in inflation. Simultaneously recession, borrowing is very difficult because dear money policy made by the monetary authority, and consumer buy less, businesses postpone expansion, businesses will interrupt, unemployment increases, production is reduced. This is the situation of recession. Objectives of monetary policy. So we have objectives, no? Whatever they making policies, they have some objectives. The monetary policy also have some objectives. The developed economies has to serve the function of stabilization and maintaining proper equilibrium in the economic system. This is a main aim, okay, main objective. But in case of underdeveloped countries, the monetary policy has to be more dynamic as to meet the requirements of an expanding economy by creating suitable conditions for economic progress. So that in underdeveloped countries, the monetary policy has to be more dynamic, so that they to meet their emergency requirements of an expanding or contraction, everything, and creating suitable conditions for the economic progress in the UDC countries. It is now widely recognized that monetary policy can be a powerful tool of economic transformation. Let me see the specific objectives of monetary policy. They are neutrality of money. Stability of exchange rate, price stability, full employment, economic growth, equilibrium in the balance of payment. These are the specific important objectives of monetary policy. Let me see the one by one. Neutrality of money. Economists like Wicksteed, Hayek, and Robertson are the chief exponents of neutral money. So they spoke about neutral money. They hold the view that monetary authority should aim at neutrality of money and in the economy. They hold the view that monetary authority should aim at neutrality of money in the economy. They advising the monetary authority should keep the neutrality in the economy, so that monetary changes could be the root cause of all economic fluctuation. So any monetary changes happening in the society, in the economy, means it is the root cause of all the economic fluctuations, so that the monetary authority should take important ideas and correct policies. Okay, so according to the neutralists, the monetary changes causes distortion and disturbances in the proper operation of the economic system of the country. So it can be give disturbances and also the distortion. So we can clear the ideas and then maintaining in the super manner, so that neutrality of money is very, very important here. The monetary authority should keep the neutrality in the economy. This is the main objective. And exchange rate stability. Exchange rate stability was the traditional objective of monetary authority. This is one of the golden as well as the traditional objective. This was the main objective under gold standard among different countries. So that the main objective is under the gold standard among different countries, when there was disequilibrium in the balance of payment of the country, it was automatically corrected by movements. So that as a country, as a betterment country, they should keep the gold standard and maintaining disequilibrium in the balance of payment. They should concentrating these two. It was popularly known as expand currency and credit when gold is coming in, contract currency and when credit gold is going out. This is the main system. This system will correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment and the exchange rate stability will be maintained. Whatever export and import of goods and services making by the government, making by the country, they should keep in mind expand currency and credit when gold is coming in, contract currency and credit when gold is going out. This system only can manage the disequilibrium of balance of payment, exchange rate stability and foreign currency stability, everything. So it must be noted that if there is a instability in the exchange rate, it would result in outflow or inflow of gold, resulting in unfavorable balance of payment. Therefore, stable exchange rates are advocated. So that depends upon the gold rate, the gold standard and the currency. Okay, the balance of payment giving result. So that the outflow and inflow of gold resulting unfavorable balance of payment. So that the exchange rate stability very, very important to maintain here. Who can maintain here? The monetary authority only maintain the exchange rate stability in an economy. The third objective is price stability. Economists like Gustav Castle and Keynes suggested price stabilization as a main objective of monetary policy. Whatever policies the monetary authority, they should keeping price stability. Okay, price stability is considered the most genuine objective of monetary policy. This is one of the most genuine objective of the monetary policy. Stable prices responds public confidence. Okay, so they can repose the public confidence. It promotes business activity and ensures equitable distribution of income and wealth. The price stability only can give the confidence level of the public, and it can promote the business activity and ensure the equitable distribution of income and wealth. This consequence, there is general wave of prosperity and welfare in the community. It may be the consequence, the price stability consequence only, giving general wave of prosperity and welfare in the community. But it is admitted that price stability does not mean price rigidity. Okay, they clearly say here, price stability does not mean price rigidity or price stagnation. A mild increase in the price level provides a tonic for economic growth. So mildly we can increase the price level. It can provide the good growth in the economy. So it can working as a tonic for economic growth. It keeps all virtues of the stable price. So this is stable price, okay, and then full employment. During World Depression 1930, it happened 1930. During World Depression, the problem of unemployment had increased rapidly after Second World War. It was regarded as socially dangerous. On those time, it was regarded as socially dangerous, economically wasteful, and morally deplorable. Thus, full employment was considered as the main goal of the monetary policy. So that their main aim is giving full employment opportunities. So that with the public of Keynes' general theory of employment, interest and money in 1936, the objective of full employment gained full support as the chief objective of the monetary policy. After the 1930 problem, which is World Depression, Keynes only helped them to recover the problem. Through his idea, he wrote about the ideas in his book, General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money in 1936. The employment, full employment gained through the idea. Then only the objective made by the Keynes. Okay, this is full employment objective. Next one is economic growth. Economic growth is the progress and process whereby the real per capita income of a country increases over a long period of time. It implies an increase in the total physical or real output, production of goods for the satisfaction of human wants. So whatever the production of goods and services, it should be satisfy the human wants. So economic growth is the process of increasing the real per capita income of a country. It also including the given period of time. So therefore, monetary policy should promote sustained and continuous economic growth by maintaining equilibrium between the total demand for the money and total production capacity, and further creating favorable conditions for saving and investment according to the Keynes idea, full employment. Okay, so the monetary policy should promote sustainable and continuous economic growth, and they should maintaining the equilibrium between the total demand for money and also the total production capacity, and further creating some favorable condition for the savings, investment, employment, everything, for bringing equality between the demand and supply, flexible monetary policy in the best course. So they through the promote sustainable, continuous and economic growth, they can give equality between the demand and supply, flexible in the monetary policy, equilibrium in the balance of payment. This is the last objectives of monetary policy. They always working for bringing the equilibrium in the balance of payment. What is balance of payment? Export and import of the goods and services should be balanced. Okay, then they had to maintain the accounts about the export and import of a country. Equilibrium in the balance of payment in another objective of monetary policy, which emerged significant in the post-war years. Okay, so this is simply due to the problem of international liquidity on account of the growth of world trade at a more faster speed than the world liquidity. so that if we doing any international trade, the liquidity on account of the growth of the world trade at a more faster speed than the liquidity, okay, the world liquidity. It was felt that increasing of deficit in the balance of payment reduces the ability of an economy to achieve other objectives. So it resulting the increasing of deficit should be decreased, okay, the deficit should decrease and they should bring the balance of payment ability in the economy. As a result, many less developed countries have to curtail their imports, which adversely affect developed activities. So development activities and all may be curtailed by the underdeveloped countries. So that the less developed countries means underdeveloped countries. So monetary authority makes effort to maintain equilibrium in the balance of payment among every countries. Okay, among the countries or inside of the countries, they should maintain the equilibrium in the balance of payment. Okay, this is the objectives of monetary policy. How many points given here? 6 points. What are they? Neutrality of money, stability of exchange rate, price stability, full employment, economic growth, equilibrium in the balance of payment. Students, go through the concept. This is very important concept. This is a 5-mark question they may ask. Often asking question. Okay. Go through the video carefully and learn the lesson continuously, and you have to respond in your test. Okay. Whatever you learn today, you have to write test and send to me.